Hey, all, freeze cracked here. Hey, I was moving a bunch of rock around and trying to get things organized, and doing that I was reducing some stuff just a little bit, but that takes a long time and I got a lot of rock. So but I picked this up and I looked at that, I'm like, man, that is a difficult shaped rock. I mean, it just doesn't have any intuitiveness to it as to what to do with it. And I was thinking, well, and it's raw, West Texas chert. And I'm like, maybe I could just whack on that on video, because if you can reduce this, you can reduce a lot of things. So anyway, the hard part in my mind of this is to just decide where you're going to end up with your point in it. And I've kind of decided, and it isn't necessarily what you would think. I've got, if you look at it this way, I'll turn it on the top. You have width and you have some degree of length, and if the point was oriented through there, then you could do a lot of different things with it. But I was looking at that and I was like, well, where do I want it to be? And I really can't even decide hardly. It's almost like it would make sense to try and go with whatever you think is the easiest, and then just end up with what you end up with based on that. One of the problems with some of these rocks that are raw and fairly tough is you can't really abrade them sometimes enough to get a flat enough area to do really hard hits. Some people think that when you hit in on a thing, it does a big curve because it naturally follows the shape of the rock, and that isn't totally true. To some degree, it has to do with your support. And sometimes I hold the rock lightly against the pad, but I don't push it into the pad, and I don't really support it strongly, because all I'm doing is wanting the front not to hinge down, but I don't want to put a bunch of pressure in it to make it wrap like crazy. And you can see there was a lot of curve here, but this went through and it didn't curve as much. And I think it has to do somewhat with how you support too. I could be wrong, I've been wrong before. See, that's flat, it didn't curve. And this had a bunch of curve to it. I don't know what I'm doing though. This is so steep, I don't even know if I'll take that flake if I hit it. I'm kind of tired because I've been outside most of the day, so I'm talking a little slow, which I don't want to drive you crazy. That one I hit so hard into so thick an area that I hinged it. Not a big deal though. That one I just went into there too, but I was hitting, it's so steep, I'm just hitting, ow. Hitting downward and hinging out into there, but I'm trying to create some flatness here compared to this up here. Is kind of the game plan at this point, if you could call it that. And I may have outdone myself on this rock. Tough stuff. The center of this is largely concrete, and I thought it looked like it might be pretty rough. But I've gotten to this stage with these videos that I don't really care if I look stupid or not, so. Ow. Wow. I'm definitely chewing this rock up. What to do, because this rock is a lot harder than most of the stuff you've ever seen me hit. A bunch harder. And like I say, I thought it was going to be, but it definitely isn't disappointing me as far as hardness goes. I really do think it's good though to just fight some rocks that are beasts, because it just, that's just skating. It helps you just learn to get some power into it. And I hit that as hard as I could, and you know, it hinged out not that far from going as far as it needed to go. But it is a beast. But I'm not going to let it beat me. I can't. I know it doesn't look pretty now, but I'm still fighting. Man. Wow. Well, that crack in there, I didn't do that. So, if that's deep, then that's a real problem. But I can't do anything about it, just gotta try and work anyway. Well, if I was wanting to show you a fight, then I definitely picked the right rock. That went into that crack, and I still don't know how deep that crack goes. Wow, you don't see that too often. Came in here and just jumped out. And it jumped out pretty close to the edge, so even though I hit it as hard as I could, It just decided to leap over the fence instead of knocking through it. It didn't respect my authority. I tilted that up and hit at an angle to try and blast through this, and where that crack was, and it did get past it a little bit over here, but it didn't get through. I still don't know exactly how deep it is. Well, it kind of respected my authority that time. So far, this rock is a good example of how you get in trouble and you just need to keep fighting. And I think the reason you need to quit fighting is not because you're always going to win with a particular rock, but because a large part of who I am as a napper is from fighting a whole bunch of bad rocks. And it helped me a lot. Some regular rock just seems like child's play when you've hit a bunch of bad rock. Or tough rock. When I'm doing this, I'm not talking about support, but you better believe I am holding tight on the back and try not to let it move at all. And I'm trying at the last second even to keep accelerating the billet forward. I mean, velocity isn't always your friend. I wish I had an even bigger bopper. And I've got the solid copper one, but it's different enough in what it does that I don't like to switch back and forth usually. I'll use the solid sometimes on the outer skin of a new rock I'm getting into, but sometimes it seems to want to divot the rock a little bit, and it's just different. It has a different effect. This has got a little thing about the cortex that makes it likely to work good if I hit it, but I need to work this around because it's definitely the kind of mother of all zigzag type situations. You know, that's pretty much a beastly one. Right back.